September 15th, Sunday. This is the second weekend of urban archery season. So last weekend hunted Saturday afternoon. Saw, as I was walking in, a doe and a little fawn. As far as deer, that's all I saw. And then went again Sunday with Adam, and I didn't see anything or have a shot on anything. He had a yearling or a fawn come through with the mother following, and so he shot that doe. I didn't hunt yesterday. I did some work on some land that we have with our church, and it took me longer than I thought it would, bush hogging some fields, but so by the time I finished that, I didn't have time to get in the woods. So that's where I'm headed today, a property that's about 10 minutes from the house. I was kind of hoping to be in the tree around 3. It's 4 o'clock now, so, well, 10 to 4. So as usual, I'm running a little bit late, but we'll see what we'll see. It's a beautiful day. Wish it was a little bit cooler right now, but it's 70s. According to my watch, it's 76 degrees. It feels a little warmer than that, though. So, but I'll give you an update once I get up in the tree. Should be about 20 minutes from now, so we'll see. I'm in the tree. It's a little windy today, but depending on which way the deer comes, it's either good or bad. They can come both ways, I guess. Last week when I hunted here, I didn't see anything until I was leaving after dark. And there's a road behind me, and that's the way I exit out. And as I was driving home, about 10, 12 deer had gone across the road, jumped the fence, and was heading this way. But all the deer I've seen on camera have been going from that direction this way. So the wind's blowing that way to behind me. The sun's behind me. So I'm just going to be real still in case something sneaks up behind me. Hopefully I hear it, but you can't always guarantee that, because these deer are like ninja. But I'll show you what my setup is here. So I always keep my bow on the left side. This is a bunch of underbrush here. There's all kinds of trails through there. The deer travel back and forth through there. I'm pretty sure there's bedding areas back there. We can only go so far, and then it turns into Norfolk Southern property, I think. But we see them walking this trail a lot. And then other times they come over this ridge. This is a ridge here, so I'm at the bottom of it. I know they travel here. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a trail that comes right through here, and it kind of cuts over. So I've seen them on top of the ridge. I've seen them come from mid-ridge, but most of them seem to be coming through here. So that's the shot I'm hoping for. All right. It is, let's see what time it is. It's 5 o'clock now, so I've been in the tree for about almost an hour. So I'll hunt till it gets dark. Hopefully I see something. If not, I may try, I will try a different location next Saturday. And I'll probably try to get in the woods a little bit earlier. I don't know if I'll go in the morning or not, but it just depends what I got going on the weekend. So, all right. My phase 4 is ready to eat. It's hungry. I'm hungry. But, all right. Hopefully today's the day. All right. I'll check in with you later. shot a doe, and I could have shot a spike that was 10, 15 yards from me, but I can't shoot bucks, and he wandered off, so I'm gonna go ahead and climb down and see what the arrow looks like. Just in case. All right, dude, it was crazy though. Golly, this is steep. Oh, and a hole. Big old hole right there. All right. All right, I'm trying to GoPro this at the same time. Once I calmed down and kind of went through the motions, I know exactly what I did on that first shot. I was slumping down right in here, man. They were traveling back and forth, back and forth. A little spider web right there. All right. And this ground is so soft. But man, they were just tearing through here. All right, so about in the same exact spot. So I didn't, that doesn't look good. All right. Golly, that sucker's buried. All right. That's the one I missed with. This one, I must have hit something. That doesn't look good though. It broke off. That's not good. My knock is gone. So I don't know what happened there. That is just weird. There's some blood on it. Not much. I mean, I don't know if you can tell in the light, but I don't know. There's about 12 inches off the end of it. Whew. Okay. All right, let's Hey, it's the future me here, and there's some things I need to explain about this video. This is almost a full year after the fact, almost to the date, but first off, this was a crazy hunt. I wasn't expecting to see all these deer, and it was almost like it was, even though it was a preseason hunt, it was in urban archery, it's in September, it seemed like it was almost a rut. There was bucks chasing does all over the place that you might have already seen in the video, but there was 3, maybe 4 different bucks that at some point or other during this hunt came within 20 yards, and I could have shot them all, but they're not in season. There at the end of this video, there was 2 deer that were coming through from my right to left, and I drew the first one. I could see was a buck, and then the second one, I looked, didn't see any antlers, and made a pretty good shot on her and killed her. But what you don't get to see is, because the GoPro died, is when I finally tracked this deer down, it was a buck. Antlers about this big. Didn't see him at all when I made the shot. I don't know how I didn't see him, but I mean, this was a kind of a weird deer too. It had 7 points on it, but they were only this big. I mean, it's kind of a freaky deer. So at that point, I really wasn't sure what to do. In all my years of hunting, I've never shot a buck out of season or made that mistake before. But I wanted to do the right thing, so I checked the buck. I checked it in as a buck, and I went ahead. I didn't want to just leave it, so I checked it in as a buck and took it to the processor. And the next day, the next morning, which was a Monday morning, I had a number for our local DWR officer. So I called him. He didn't answer, but I left him a message. It was about a 2-minute message. Told him who I was, where I was hunting, what happened, where I took the deer for the processing, how to reach me, and just to let me know what I need to do, because I had no clue. Well, I didn't hear anything back. I was gonna get figured, okay, maybe they're busy. Golly, these gnats are bad. But figured maybe they're just busy. So I gave him the week. Well, Friday, my son calls and says, Dad, 3 officers came to the house asking for you. And I'm like, 3 officers? What are you talking about? And he's like, they were from one of them left a card. And so he gave me the number, and he said they wanted me to call him. I'm like, okay.
Somebody's here. How you doing, buddy? Your dad home? Anybody home?
No, sir.
Okay. He didn't have a car. No, I don't have any cars or anything.
Hey, sir, we just want to chit chat with your dad about something real quick. Whenever he gets back home, would you give him this card real quick? And my cell phone number's on there. Could you just tell him give me a call when he gets a moment?
Yes, sir.
All right, really appreciate it. What's your name, young man?
Robert.
Your dad's Robert too, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell him give him a buzz when he gets home. We really appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
You get good grades?
Yes, sir.
You better. Keep it up, young man.
Have a good one.
Bye, officers.
Before I could even hang up the phone, that same number was calling my cell phone. So my son didn't give him my cell phone number. They just showed up at my house, didn't bother calling me first. But then when I wasn't at home, then they called me, which is not sure. They could have saved them a trip, but anyway, so I hung up with my son, answered the phone there, said, this is Officer so-and-so with the DWR, we'd like to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking they're talking to me about this deer I reported. And so they said, well, where are you? I said, I'm at work. I said, but you're more than welcome to come up here and talk to me. I said, or when I get off, I can meet you somewhere or whatever. And they said, well, we'll come talk to you there. It's like, okay. Well, they got to my work. It was about 4:30. And they called me. So I went out, and they were in the far end of the parking lot. 3 agents, officers, whatever they're called, in one vehicle parked at the very end. So I walk across the parking lot and tell them I'm Robert, and they introduce themselves. And then right off the bat, they're asking me all these weird questions from all 3 of them, almost at the same time. I can't even hardly get an answer out before somebody else is asking me questions. Weird, like, do you hunt deer? Do you hunt around here, or do you hunt in the city, or do you hunt turkey? And just like, I said, you're here about the deer, right? And they're like, yeah, the one you put in the tag system. I'm like, well, yeah, I also called y'all about it. They were like, who'd you call? And I gave them the name and the number. And then they kind of changed. Their attitude kind of changed. And they weren't so aggressive with the questions. They're like, so you called this in and reported it? And I'm like, yeah. And I even had to show them my call log and where it was a 2-3 minute call where I left him a message. Turns out that officer was not on duty that week. And he still had his phone on. Nothing in his message said he was out of town. But apparently he was doing something, Navy Reserves or something like that. Well, then they kind of changed their tune, and I showed them a picture of the deer, and they said, yeah, that's kind of a weird looking deer. And I said, oh, you'd be surprised, this happens all the time. I said, but it is a rule violation, so we'll get together, and one of these officers will get back in touch with you and let you know what needs to happen. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I said, I was owned up to it. I reported it. I did it. So I deal with the consequences. But then their lead officer, who was over the other two, he looks at me and he goes, yeah, I think you're pretty honest with us, and you look like an honest guy. So I'm going to ask you this question because I know other people probably wouldn't tell me the truth. Do you ever hunt over bait? And I'm like, did you seriously just ask me that? Do I hunt over bait? In Virginia, by the way, it's illegal to hunt over bait. You're not supposed to feed anything. I think I never bait anything anyway, but I think it's you can't. September, I think all feed has to be up if you're feeding them like over the summer or whatever. So I'm thinking to myself, you seriously just asked me that? I'm like, no, it's illegal. And he goes, okay. He goes, I knew you'd give me an honest answer. Well, all right. So if I'm an honest person, then I wouldn't be baiting animals anyway. It was just trying to trip me up and get me on some other charge. Anyway, so 2 weeks went by, didn't hear anything. And then on a Sunday, I get a call from one of the DWR officers saying they need to deliver me a summons. And I'm thinking to myself, a summons, that's like a summons. I said, a summons to court? And they're like, yeah, but don't worry, it's the least charge we could do, and blah, 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 but we'll explain it to you when we get there. So I'm like, okay. Well, these two officers show up at my house and they hand me a summons, and they're saying, yeah, don't worry, it's the lowest, it's class 3 misdemeanor, it's the lowest thing you can get. I'm like, a misdemeanor? Like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, but you don't even have to go to court. And he wrote the number of the court down on the summons. So you can just call that and just pay the fine if you want to. Don't worry, it doesn't go on your record. And then the other guy that was standing there, he actually said, yeah, don't, it's no big deal. Even if you don't go to court, it's not like they're going to come looking for you. They'll just send you a bill in the mail. And none of this sounded right to me. So anyway, they leave. The next morning or the next day, I call the court, and I'm like, yeah, because I just wanted to see what the fine was going to be. It's like, can you tell me what the fine is for this? And gave them the information. And well, no, you have to come to court. The judge will determine what the penalty is. And I said, okay. I said, this is a class 3 misdemeanor, just to make sure. I said, will this go on my record? Oh yeah, it's going to be on your record. So again, they kind of lied to me there. So anyway, I finally get a court date. Then it gets postponed. It gets postponed till December. And it kind of almost ruined my whole season. I almost didn't even hunt anymore. I was kind of disgusted with it. And the more I asked around, the more information I got about our local DWR agent here in Lynchburg, Virginia. Now this is all hearsay, but actually there was a guy that applied for a job with them, and he ended up turning it down because their whole goal was to write tickets. They weren't there to educate people. They weren't there to, really protect the environment so much, but he was actually told that the more tickets he writes, the better. And they actually celebrated that in the office, how many did you get? How many did you get? Yeah. So he ended up turning the job down. And I've come to learn that I've seen that a lot. They're on your side if like you're getting hunter harassed or whatever, because then they can write a ticket. But if it's flipped, they'll in a heartbeat write you a fine, whether it was like in my case, first time ever mistake or whatever. But again, I did it, so I had to own up to it. But anyway, I went to court, and so they called me up, and they called the officer who wrote the summons up, and they let the officer speak first. And he told them, and he did tell them that I was completely cooperative. And then they let me speak, and I told them, everything that happened. I said it was a mistake. I said I wanted to do the right thing. I reported it. I called the DWR agent, did it, and the other agent had to confirm that when the judge asked him about it. But then he goes, so when was buck's in season? When does the normal season start? And he was asking the agent, and the agent says, I'll have to look that up. And he pulls out his phone to start looking it up. I'm like, this is stuff you're supposed to know, dude. Anyway, I told him, I said, it's the first weekend in October. And so it was about 2 weeks out of season. I was like, yes, sir. And he goes, well, when does urban archery start? I said, it was the first weekend in September.